Hey guys, what's up and welcome to my channel. For today's video, we're going through my last books of the year from June up until December. We're going to do my 2024 reading wrap-up part 2. I'm so excited. I surprisingly thought we would have to talk about less books than we actually have to. So let's start without further ado. We're gonna start with the first book I read in the second half of the year, which is, surprisingly or not, Addicted for Now by Kristen Mekarichi, part of the Addicted / Calloway Sister series. I have already mentioned this multiple times before. I'm not gonna go back into it, but Lily and Lo, I have a love-hate relationship with them because I just love them so much when I'm not in their POVs. Whenever I'm in their books, I just kind of feel overwhelmed because of how intense they are in terms of their struggles, their emotions, and how they cope with everything. For some reason, I kind of find it very hard to just fully fall in love with them. They're probably, and don't hate me for this, my least favorite characters of this series. Lo's personality is very complicated for me. I hate it, but I love it at the same time. And in terms of Lily, sometimes I just wanna shake her and make her stay strong for some reason. I still love them so much. This entire universe is so good, but whenever I'm in their POVs, it's such a love-hate relationship. Because of this, I ended up giving 3 stars to this book. Then the next book that I read is Above the Clouds. I hated this book. It is a self-help book that basically drives you through a couple of steps in order for you to release the negative energy and just become more mindful and happy in terms of how you view and take up things in life. But her steps were kind of weird. I just couldn't connect with her step-by-step guide, and overall I found this book very boring. I didn't find a lot of theory that could back up what she was saying in order to make you believe that it actually could be useful. I honestly found it very boring. I couldn't connect with the step-by-step guide. I didn't really understand it, so no. Ended up giving it 1 star. In terms of the topic, I think there are way better books that just could help you achieve the same result and just make more sense out of it. So yeah. Then the next book that I read was Powerless by Elsie Silver, part of the Chestnut Spring series. The series overall, 10 out of 10, I loved it, but this one was my least favorite just because I couldn't connect with the characters. They were kind of annoying at some point, and the reason of that is because with these characters, everything felt kind of interrupted. I'm gonna put you an example of how all the scenes feel like. If he was gonna say, I love you and I want to be with you forever, picture it as a TV scene or a series in which you're seeing the characters so into the romantic atmosphere, about to kiss, and the man would say like, and then the screen would go black. That was every single time they needed to talk about their feelings. And not only from Jasper's side, because I understand that he was very insecure and he had a lot of trauma from his past, but when he was determined to make Sloane his girlfriend, dude, you just go ahead and say it. You're saying that she loves you. Please act up on that. You already know that you want to be with her. You're determined to be with her. Why aren't you talking? And every single time he was about to make a move, something happened and he would back off. And then from her side, I just couldn't connect with her struggles. It was a little bit frustrating. It wasn't bad, but I'm gonna say it was my least favorite. I just couldn't connect with the relationship. Ended up giving it 2 stars. Then the next one was The Goal by Elle Kennedy, part of the Off Campus series. I think this one was the 4th book in the series, and I really liked it. It was fine. I think that at this point with Off Campus, I was like, just an average love story, which, don't get me wrong, I really like those, but it didn't make me feel like I need to give it 5 stars because I'm obsessed and I just cannot stop thinking about these characters. No, they were just a cute romance. Do you get what I mean? This one is about Tucker and Sabrina. Tucker, my respects. He was such a good man. He was so nice with her, and the fact that he fell first and he fell harder for her, oh my god. Also, Sabrina's personality, amazing. I loved it so much. She's such a strong woman and so determined, and the way she struggled in her everyday life but still kept pushing forward and demanding the best out of herself, amazing. Normally, I'm not the biggest fan of pregnancy tropes, but in this one, I didn't really mind it because guys, I was completely obsessed with them before she got pregnant, and she got pregnant within the 3rd quarter of the book. So it's not like during the whole book you see her going through pregnancy. No. And that was something I really liked. But also they already had established kind of relationship, and they had already had feelings towards each other, and you could see that they both care about each other so much. It wasn't just because I'm pregnant I'm gonna be with him and from there our love is gonna flourish. No, I really loved how he, on their first encounter, the first time they slept together, he was so into her that he followed her towards her house because he wanted to make sure that she arrived towards her house safe, and he slept in his car outside her house because it was like, no, it's too dangerous now, but I needed to make sure that she arrived home safe. I know. It was so cute, honestly. I still ended up giving 3 stars, but they were so cute. Then the next book I read, Powerless. Overall, it was an amazing book. It is a fantasy romance between Peyton and Kai. Peyton is a normal human. Kai is the male love interest who has powers, and he's one of the most powerful guy in the entire kingdom, and he's actually the son of the king, and he's destined to kill humans because they believe that humans are infecting the powerful people, so they're killing humans, and Peyton is like, I need to survive. So it's kind of a mix of the Hunger Games with Divergent. That was something I mentioned in my Puerto Vallarta vlog. For some reason, some of the scenes were very similar to Divergent in the sense of how they trained and also how they treated each other, meaning Kai and Peyton, but the overall plot is very similar to the Hunger Games in the sense that they're thrown into an arena and they need to fight for their lives and just demonstrate that they're powerful enough to survive. That's the premise of the story. It was very good. Such a slow burn. At the beginning I thought it would be a love triangle between Kai and his brother and Peyton, but at the end of the day it was more between Kai and Peyton, and the brother was more of a best friend type of relationship, which it hurt me so much how he ended up suffering. I enjoyed it so much. I ended up giving this one 4 stars. Next book, it's actually a reread. The first time I read it, I was studying abroad in Barcelona, and I was like, yes, this is the perfect book to read by the beach, by the ocean, and just very aesthetic and very cute. But for some reason, I wasn't in the mood for this one, so I couldn't really enjoy it as much. I didn't really remember what the plot was. I just remember that this one was set by a lake house, and it was a romance between a writer and her nemesis, and I didn't really like their relationship. That was everything that I remembered from the first time I read it. So this time around, I was back from Puerto Vallarta, and I was feeling this post-travel depression, so I was like, this one could be a good option. So I started reading it, and I can say I'm still not a huge fan of the romance of the couple or of the entire plot. I appreciated it a little bit more since the last time I read it. It just made more sense, but still it's not my favorite couple of all times. However, something that made me give this book 4 stars was the setting. The setting and how the author described it, amazing. Really made me wanna leave everything behind and go to a cabin by a lake and just disappear for the rest of the year. Seriously, so good. If you wanna feel immersed into a lake house slash calm, slow lifestyle, read this one. The romance is cute. The setting, 10 out of 10. The fact that she's a writer and she describes herself in her kind of everyday routine of waking up, making myself a coffee, going downstairs, sit myself facing the lake, opening my laptop, start writing. The routine, I was like, I want to be you, girl. I want to be January in this book because she got to spend her entire summer. Was it summer or fall? I don't know. But she got to spend a couple of months in this small town in a lake house. Next book, I finally finished the off-campus series with Reading the Legacy, and it was fine. I feel like it was a good closure, making the reader feel as much part of the group as possible. It was just honestly so fun. It didn't add up to my love for each one of the characters. I thought that with knowing more about their futures outside of campus, I would be completely obsessed, especially with Garrett and Hannah, which are my ultimate favorite couples of all time. I thought I would just root even more for them, but it was just a nice closure. Like, that was it. Something that I really liked, and I think my only highlight out of this book was the inside joke of Alexander. If you know, you know. I just had so much fun reading those parts. But besides that, there wasn't anything majorly interesting. It was just a nice closure, and ended up giving this one 3 stars. And then I continued with the Chestnut Spring series, and here is where things get interesting because I read Reckless. My god, if I'm not obsessed with Theo, let me talk about this book. Okay, so this is also a pregnancy trope. Surprise, surprise, I didn't think I would like it. It is about Winter, which is kind of the evil sister from the first book. And in here, she's going through a divorce and getting over her cheating, awful ex-husband. And so she goes to spend kind of Christmas with her sister just because she wants to reconnect with her, and she feels guilty that she just was too cold. Picture it as Anna and Elsa from Frozen. The exact same thing, just that one is summer and one is winter, but the exact same thing. So she's very cold, but she really cares about her sister and she wants to make things better. And the first day she arrives, she goes to get gas, and in front of her, there's this big, broad, strong, handsome man in front of her, and she's like, he looks so sexy. But she doesn't do anything. She's just going to get gas. I don't really remember if they talk at that moment. I think he catches her staring at him, something like that. But Winter is like, he's so arrogant and annoying, so she goes on her way, and surprise, surprise, they're going to the same direction, which is Red's and Summer's house to spend Christmas. So they arrive right there, and ever since the first moment, they start bickering at each other. The tension, the attraction, the back and forth, and the way you know that they're so into each other, but Winter doesn't want to show it. But Theo is like, I'm determined to have that woman by my side because I want her and she's so pretty and everything. Oh my god, so sexy, amazing. And then after she finds out that she's pregnant and she has the baby, the way he returned, the way he treated his daughter, the way he treated Winter and supported her, up until this day, I cannot stop thinking about Theo because he was such a nice man. Oh, I love it. He was so sexy, and honestly, my favorite book of the entire series. I, again, didn't think I would love it as much as I did. I read that in one setting. In one sitting, guys. I couldn't put that book down. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I even ditched my entire work just for the sake of keep on reading. I remember I started reading it when I was at the gym. I was like, I'm doing the Stairmaster, so I need something to just distract me through these 30 minutes of the workout. So I ended up starting this one, and I was immediately hooked. Hooked. I couldn't stop thinking. So I came back home, I started my work, and I just couldn't stop thinking. So I was like, I'm gonna hurry up. I hurried up for about 2 hours, went grab lunch, and when I came back, I just sit my ass down in my bed and finished the entire book. I just couldn't put it down. I was so obsessed and I loved it, and as you may have guessed, I ended up giving that one 5 stars, 10 out of 10, obsessed, highly recommended. And soon after I finished reading that one, I immediately started Hopeless by Elsie Silver. Ever since I started this series and I read the blurb of each one of the books, I was immediately like, this one is gonna be my favorite. He was in the military, for God's sake. I know I'm gonna love him so much. And yes, I ended up giving 5 stars, as you can see. It was so good. It is an age gap type of romance. He is kind of the middle sibling. Again, was in the military. He came back completely traumatized because of what he experienced. He went missing in the past books for a couple of months, and when they found him, he was completely out of his mind. Like, he had PTSD, and he just would wake up having nightmares and shouting and just very stressed. And he ends up going to the bar in which Bailey is working at. Bailey is kind of the outcast of this town because of her brothers and of her dad, that nobody likes them, and so therefore everyone judges her, and she's just trying to get out of that town as fast as possible because she's like, nobody likes me and I understand why. I'm not gonna make them like me, so I need to get out of here as soon as possible. And she tries to be practically invisible in the entire town. So when Bo goes to the bar, she's very open and very direct with him. She's kind of the only one that's not walking on her tiptoes around him, and that's what drives him towards her at the beginning. And they start fake dating. Then it becomes into a fake marriage, and from there, you already know the story. They fall for each other. The way they both care about each other is just so cute. I love them so much, and he just treats her so good. And with that, we close the Chestnut Spring series on a very good note. Overall, this series is a 5-star read for me. I love it so much. Then I continued with Kiss the Sky. This is Rose and Connor's POV, the first one in this series, and I really loved it. They surprised me in terms of the intimate scenes that are in this book. I really did not expect that, but it was very good. At the end of the day, I ended up giving them 4 stars. Rose has such a strong personality that I just admire her so much. Wow. And Connor, he's so cocky, so sassy. Oh my god, I love them so much. They're such a perfect couple. And right afterwards, I already knew that Reich and Daisy would be my favorite couple. And here comes their first book in the Calloway Sister series, and I immediately devoured it. I ended up giving it 5 stars, as you can see. It's Hothouse Flower by Kristen Beccarici. Reich Minos, I love you so much. You have made it to my top 5 ultimate book boyfriends ever. The way he cares about her, how he restrained himself from making a move towards her because of the love he has for his brother and the love he has for Daisy. I love him. He's perfect. He's the most selfless character ever. My favorite out of this universe. I love it so much. Then I continue with the play, which is part of the Briary series, a spin-off of the Off-Campus series by Elle Kennedy. This one is between Hunter and Demi. Her personality, I really enjoyed it. His personality, for some reason, I thought it would be annoying just because of the first book in this series, The Chase. I thought he was gonna be all jackass and an asshole and everything. But no, he was actually pretty nice and such a gentleman. The fact that he was like, I'm off sex and I'm off women for the rest of the season, and how he managed to put it up until the very last 200 pages of the book, and how he broke his chastity type of challenge. If you know that scene, you know it was such a major jealousy scene. I loved it so much. Honestly, one of my favorites out of this entire universe. So I ended up giving it 4 stars. That's how much I loved it, and that's how much I loved Hunter's personality and Hunter as a boyfriend. And then immediately after, I continued with The Dare. It was mostly, I'm not gonna lie, to finish with the Off-Campus / Briary universe. This one was the last one I was missing. Again, such a wholesome romance. Her insecurities and how he made her feel secure and just help her overcome them. Connor, amazing. Such a cute guy. I love him so much, and them as a couple, I loved it. I ended up giving it 4 stars as well. And with that, we close the Off-Campus / Briary series, which again, such an amazing series. If you want to start reading, highly recommend that one. Afterwards, I felt ready to start the next book in the ACOTAR series. A Court of Mist and Fury. I feel like you already know. Everyone already knows this book. 5 stars. 5 stars. Rising Feyre, chapter 55. Amazing. I love it so much. Melted my heart. It just crushed it, destroyed it, and I haven't been able to recover from this. I'm gonna leave it like that. I'm not gonna say anything else. That's A Court of Mist and Fury for you. And then I was like, I need a cute, fluffy romance. And so I started Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. I'm gonna say I'm not the biggest fan of this book, and I feel like I'm not gonna be the biggest fan of the rest of the series or interconnected books that come before and after this book. It's just the man, 10 out of 10. I didn't have a problem with him. I loved him so much. He's just so thoughtful and just would observe every single detail about her, not in a stalkery, creepy kind of way, but in a very loving and caring type of way. But her personality. First of all, who told you that he was against you? Yes, he messed up with your work field, but why take it so personally? I'm never gonna understand, because okay, he looked you weird the first time you met him when you were fake dating his brother. Okay, I get it. That can throw you off a little bit, but that compared to truly hating him because he published a paper talking bad about your work field and taking it so personally as if he was talking about you specifically, couldn't connect with that. I just couldn't connect with that. I know she was manipulated by her mentor. I get that. And the mentor was the one that was directly affected by his paper. But still, even after she was already falling for him, she was like, yeah, I love him, but he wrote that paper, so I can never be with... What? What are you talking about? It was very frustrating up until the very end. I just couldn't connect with that. She's such a people pleaser as well, and that didn't really bother me. I understood that, but the fact that she wouldn't let go of the paper that he wrote years and years and years before, couldn't get into the relationship because of that. I don't know if I'm being too harsh on this one, but it wasn't for me, I'm gonna admit. Still, I ended up giving it 3 stars. So yeah, that was Love Theoretically. And then for some reason, I was in my rereading type of mood and reread Catching Jordan by Miranda Kennelly. I have never heard anyone talk about this book. I actually found this book in a secondhand bookstore when I was starting to fall back in love with reading. I read this one for the first time back in 2021 and I was like, she's so annoying, but I love the friendship group. I reread this one to see if I still had the same impression about this, and yes, she's such a pick-me girl that also the friendship group wasn't as good as I remember it to be, so ended up giving this one 3 stars. It's not a bad book. If you put yourself in the context in which this book was published, I can see how it could be a good book, but her personality wasn't the best. So yeah, 3 stars for that one. Then it came to my life. If you know, you know. I made a reading vlog for this one and I'm obsessed. I love it so much. The main premise about this book is that Phantasma is kind of a contest, okay? So Ophelia is able to see ghosts and just communicate with the other side, with dead people and with demons and everything. And she has a sister. That sister, for some reason, knows that they're in financial problems, and in order to solve them, she enters Phantasma. Then Ophelia reads her diary and she was like, she went to Phantasma, I need to go rescue her. And she goes and enters Phantasma. And as soon as she enters, she meets this very handsome, manly, gentleman-y, Danny Phantom vibes type of ghost that he's like, I'm gonna make you a deal. I'm gonna protect you and make you win Phantasma, but you need to go find something for me. And Ophelia was like, I need to survive long enough to find my sister, so okay, deal. We're doing whatever you want. How he protects her and how he treats her. The plot twist at the end. Oh my god, so good. And there's a specific scene. If you like the who did this to you trope, you have a very good scene of that trope in this book. Highly, highly recommended. I cannot wait for Enchantra to come out. Then again, I was in my rereading type of mood and I reread Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. I love this book so much. Nick Huggins, my ultimate book boyfriend. He's so perfect and their relationship is so good. Hannah Grace never disappoints. The communication, the quality of the romance, and just the friendship group in this universe. 10 out of 10. I love it so much. Definitely worth the hype. The first time I read, I ended up giving this one 5 stars. This time around, I gave it 5 stars once again. I love this book so much, and yeah, one of my favorite romances ever. Then I read Thrive by Kristen Becker-Ricci. Again, another Lillian Lowe's POV. It was fine. This one covers all the time that passed between Kiss the Sky and Hothouse Flower, but in their POVs, so you get to see what was happening in their heads. And I thought that was such a good and very interesting concept, because if you have read Hothouse Flower, in that book everyone finds out that Lily is pregnant and they are all so worried because they're still struggling with their addictions. How in earth they're gonna become parents, and also Lo doesn't want to become a father. So that's kind of this tension in there, and you as a reader are left wondering what are they actually thinking, because they just reclude themselves and you don't get to see a lot of them and a lot of their emotions in Hot House Flower. But then you go back in time and you get all their reactions, all their emotions, all their struggles and problems and everything in Thrive, and you understand even more what is said in Kiss the Sky and in Hot House Flower. So I really love the concept, but again, Lily and Lo are very intense. So ended up giving this one 3 stars. Then I read My December Darling for my Vlogmas series. This one is by Lauren Asher, one of my favorite authors. I was really craving a cute fluffy romance. This one was actually my first Christmas themed book ever, and I was very excited to get into the mood. It was such a cute romance, honestly. It's such a quick read as well. I think it is 200 pages, so it's very short. This is set in Lake Aurora, which is the same setting from the Lakefront Billionaire series, her latest series, I believe, and it's correlated with Lake Wisteria from the Dreamland Billionaire series as well. So I love this interconnected universe, both lakes and everything, also the characters. Again, I don't know if these characters have something to do with the Lakefront Billionaire characters, but it was such a comfort read knowing that all these 3 series are interconnected at some point. And yeah, I just love it so much. I ended up giving this one 3 stars. Then, oh my god, we go back. I'm not gonna dive deeper into this because I have already made an entire video about this, but my next read, Daydream by Hannah Grace. Perfect, amazing, immaculate, my favorite book of all times. 5 stars, highly recommend. It is me in a book, okay? Okay, I'm gonna leave it like that. Then if you saw my Restock My Kindle video, I talked about these books that I was planning an entire video dedicated to this. I didn't end up doing this one because I ran out of time, but I still wanted to see what these books were about because it is a 5-book series and each book is of around 100 pages, so they're short stories but they're still romances. And it is the Winter Magic series by Zoe Everly. I have never heard about these books in general. I just found them on Kindle Unlimited and decided to download them. So I read Season to Remember, which is book 1 in the series, Mistletoe Confessions, which is book 2, and then Christmas Carousel, which is book 3. All of them, I ended up giving them 2 stars because, first of all, each book is 100 pages long. So there's no much room to fully develop a romance and a story and a plot in 100 pages. We do not get any context in terms of the characters. They feel more like if you picked a Christmas themed series and you randomly chose one episode of that series without it necessarily being the first one, and you kind of understand the story, but you don't get the entire context and it feels kind of isolated, not as part of an actual story. Do you know what I mean? The romances are fine, but nothing special. They didn't even make me root for the characters because of how little information we have from them, and they are very express romances. They're like immediately they fall for each other, and in some of the cases they don't even know each other beforehand. They just meet in this book and immediately the day after they're falling for each other. Then the next chapter they're kissing, and the next chapter they're vowing themselves to spend the rest of their lives together. So they're not bad, but they're not good either. Still would recommend if you want quick reads in order to meet your reading goal for the year. And last but not least, I'm currently reading The Ritual by Chantal Tessier, which is part of a 6-book series, which I didn't know. It is a dark college romance, and I'm currently doing a reading vlog for that one. You're gonna see it up probably in the next week or a couple of weeks. And the reason why I'm including this one in this video is because I know for sure I'm gonna be able to finish it tonight. I don't know how I feel about it, but I still cannot put it down. My feminist brain is telling me to throw this book across the room and never pick it up again, but I cannot. Overall, I needed to finish filming this video so that I can edit and upload tomorrow, and that's why I'm including this, because I for sure am gonna be finishing this book within 2024. Right now it is December 28th. So we still have a couple of days, and I'm currently 68% into it, so definitely gonna finish it. According to my Kindle reading tracker, I have only 4 hours left into the book, so for sure it's gonna be finished. But If you want to watch my reading, my specific reactions and opinions, subscribe to my channel and go watch that reading vlog. It's gonna be intense because I'm not having any filter with how much I hate these characters. And yeah, those are all the books that I read on the second half of this year. I highly recommend picking most of the books. I think out of all the books that I talked about today, the only one I wouldn't recommend at all would be Above the Clouds. But besides that, feel free to comment down below your opinions, your favorite book, if you have read any of these, or if you recommend me any other books that I should read and prioritize for the new year. Please feel free to let me know. I'm always open to more book suggestions. We love reading here, so yeah, feel free to do so. And if you want to see a little bit more of my day-to-day life, feel free to follow me on Instagram or TikTok. I'm also active on there. And I'll see you in my next video in 2025. Bye. Second half of the year. Yeah, sorry. Uy, la chingada contigo,